Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really chilling case of life imitating art. It's a story that links a notorious millionaire to a fictional character so closely, it kind of forces you to ask, where does the fiction stop and where does the horrifying reality actually begin?
So it all kicks off with this one simple email. Buried in the private communications of Jeffrey Epstein, this really strange nickname pops up, the Magus. An associate is just asking a normal question, how should I dress tomorrow? But the way it's addressed, Dear Magus, well, that opens a door to something way more complex and frankly sinister.
And, this wasn't just a fluke. The name Magus shows up again and again in his emails, used by all sorts of different people over many years. This was more than just some silly nickname. It was a title, an accepted part of the very strange world he built around himself. I mean, look at these. Here, an associate just casually signs off, "Good night, Magus." And in another one, sent from the Greek islands, and trust me, that location is going to become disturbingly important, someone writes they can't stop thinking about the Magus. This wasn't just a nickname, it was a whole persona, which leads us to the big question.
This name is not random. It's not some generic word for a wizard or a wise old man. No, it's a direct and very, very specific reference to a character in a book. A character who pretty much embodies a dark and deeply manipulative kind of power.
The name is lifted straight out of this dense and pretty disturbing 1965 novel by John Fowles. The book itself is this huge psychological maze, and its main character provides this chilling blueprint for the man who would decades later adopt his title.
And here's the thing, you don't even have to read the book to see the connection. The novel's own description on the back lays out a framework that is, well, it's almost too close for comfort. So the book's main antagonist is this guy named Maurice Conchis. He's a wealthy, incredibly manipulative man living on his own private Greek island. He is the original Magus. His whole method isn't about using brute force. It's so much more insidious than that. Conchis basically builds an entirely fake reality around his guest. He uses actors, elaborate sets, and psychological mind games to just completely break down his victim's sense of self and control every single thing they see and feel. And the novel actually has a name for this whole twisted experiment. It calls it the God Game. It is the ultimate power fantasy, one person orchestrating someone else's entire reality, literally playing God with their life, their mind, their emotions, the whole shebang. Okay, so now let's take this fictional God game and put it right next to the world Jeffrey Epstein created. The parallels they're staggering. The similarities are just uncanny. I mean, look at this. In the book, the lair is a remote Greek island. In real life, it was a private Caribbean island. The novel's God game of psychological manipulation, it mirrors the widespread allegations of psychological and sexual abuse against Epstein. And the pawns are eerily similar. The book has young actresses hired to play parts in these stage scenes, and in reality, you have young women allegedly recruited into Epstein's world. And if you dig even deeper into the novel, you find passages that are frankly chilling. In one scene, a character is put through this mock psychological trial, and the analysis reads like a prosecutor's summary of Epstein's alleged crimes. It describes a method of preying on women by playing the little boy in search of the lost mother, exploiting their maternal instincts for his own sick gratification. And this is exactly why the connection hits so hard for people who know the book. The Magus is defined as a strategist of perception, a designer of psychological experiments. I mean, come on, that is a disturbingly accurate description of the kind of power Epstein wielded over people. But here's the kicker. This connection wasn't just made by outsiders, years after the fact. Nope, people in his own circle saw it and told him to his face. In this email from 2011, an associate writes to him, crystal clear, quote, "You made me think about one of my most favorite book, The Magus of John Fowles. You remind me, the Magus." But Epstein's response? Man, that is the most telling part of all. He doesn't deny it, he doesn't question it, he embraces it. He writes back, simply, "I love the Magus." He actively identifies with a character known for being a demonic, manipulative millionaire. What kind of person willingly takes on a persona that dark? It just suggests this profound narcissism, a desire not just for money, but for absolute, total control over other people. So him embracing this whole Magus persona, it takes this God game idea to its most extreme, and maybe its most logical conclusion, the ultimate illusion. You gotta remember,
The Magus's true power wasn't just manipulation, it was the ability to stage reality itself, to create an illusion so perfect that it actually becomes the truth for the people trapped inside it. And this brings us to the question at the heart of a theory laid out in an article called The Gran Sasso Blueprint. It basically asks, if a man lived his life like the Magus, maybe he planned his exit in the exact same way. Now, this theory isn't just pure speculation. It's actually based on a historical precedent. The argument is that extracting a high-value person from a supposedly inescapable place, it's been done before, specifically in the 1943 rescue of Mussolini from a prison on top of a mountain. The theory lays out these just chillin' parallels. The 1943 raid used a glider crash for cover. The modern version? Oh, just some camera malfunctions and sleeping guards. The impossible escape from a cliff edge is now a quiet medical transfer, or a staged body switch. And Goebbels' propaganda machine? Well, now we have the modern media and the whole disinformation landscape. And just think about the tools for an illusion like that today. They're more powerful than ever. We're talking AI, deepfakes, control of media narratives, access to corrupt institutions. A modern Magus would have an arsenal of deception that dwarfs anything from the past. So, we start with a novel, a piece of fiction about a man who creates his own reality, a man who plays God from his own private island.
And we end up with a real man, a millionaire who loved being called the Magus, who leaves behind a final mystery that just completely blurs the line between reality and what could be the most elaborate performance imaginable. Which leaves us with this one final lingering question. If a man models his entire life on a fictional master manipulator, and then his end becomes just as unbelievable as the fiction he admired, who's really writing the story?